at some point, people are going to wake up and say, hey, everything Smash has been talking about has been spot on. There are still a lot of people out there that think what I'm saying is insanity. And then every day that goes by, more stuff gets censored until one day you wake up and say, I'm not really cool with what's happening right now. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. And the latest censorship coming from Square Enix is being recognized here in Dragon Quest III HD Remake. And I can already kind of hear it now. The people that are upset at me for grifting off of censorship saying, Smash, it's not a big deal. Why do you always talk about these tiny, minute changes that really don't impact the gameplay? They don't impact anything at all. It's not a big deal. Just stop talking about it so that we can enjoy our games and pretend that everything's all hunky-dory with these AAA game companies that are ruining legacies of people like Akira Toriyama. Just stop talking about it. To which I reply, if it's not a big deal, then why are they doing it? JT. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out smashjt.com for the full article breaking down all this information. And huge shout out to Bounding Into Comics that had some incredible research behind the scenes that honestly saved me a ton of time in addition to the research that I found out. Square Enix keeps pushing that censorship in the modern era, this time due to their decision to censor female character designs in the upcoming Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake. You thought it was going to stop with the troll lip censorship? Or when they removed the genders and just switched it to body type A and B, and even back then people were saying, ease up on the gas, Smash, not a big deal, it's really not changing very much, and you can play the game and just pretend it's the same anyways. Why do you care? And that stuff, unfortunately, was just the beginning. The changes that I'm going to talk about in this video are literally the equivalent to a Square Enix executive walking over to Akira Toriyama's grave and taking a piss on it. And it's not just people in the West getting pissed off about the censorship and DEI. Now it's also Japan jumping in on the anger and frustration. All over Twitter, there are lots of people that are like, hey, I'm noticing these discrepancies and changes on the females in the game. Why are you doing this, Square? They're arguing that the censorship is not only disrespectful to the game's legacy, but also straight up just taking a shit on Toriyama's artistic visions. Why do all of this if the distinctions are so minimal? Let me start it off with the female Gadabout's outfit, which has been heavily altered to cover even more skin. I know, shocker. Losing a ton of its original distinctive style in the process. Even her iconic whiskey bottle accessory has been reduced to a nondescript brown jug, with all its original labeling stripped away, because we can't have this reference to alcohol in a game because it's a game, even though it used to be in the original one. I guess, you know, as we've grown up, we've realized that it's bad to have that in a game. So now we don't want the next generation to deal with seeing a bottle labeled alcohol, as if you don't witness that as a kid in real life and seeing it somewhere in someone's house. Like, it's crazy to me. Over censorship is trying to stigmatize anything anyone does so that when reality actually does hit people, they are in culture shock from it. While some of the changes made to Gadabout's costume, like obviously legal issues looking at the original, it's clearly a ripoff of a Playboy bunny. I'm not going to try to lie about that. But Japanese fans are seeing these alterations as acts of puritanical censorship rather than necessary modifications. Completely removing the cleavage of the girl because I guess cleavage is bad. We can't have that, even though that's a thing. Like, girls wear revealing outfits in real life. But apparently you can't do that in a video game, even though it's not nudity. It's literally just cleavage. And now we're trying to censor up the cleavage up to the point where everyone just looks the same and you can't even tell it's a girl anymore. Oh, it's not that bad right now. Okay, just wait. Then we have the warrior, once clad in a design typical of classic Japanese bikini armor, now has a tan undershirt and shorts beneath her armor. And the Japanese are not having this. Spider0244 on Twitter said, why would they do this to a female warrior in a remake of Dragon Quest III? One of the monumental figures in Japanese bikini armor culture. Everyone involved should apologize at Toriyama's grave. It really is that bad. The sentiment is echoed by 90mm Cannon, who argued that the changes are disrespectful and rude to Akira Toriyama. And then we have Ririam saying, rather than putting on some weird skin-colored cloth, I think they were able to create a cool, curvaceous design while increasing the skin area with armor. And here's what the problem is with censorship is you start to lose historical context. The whole purpose of the art is trying to give credence to where things came from. As G10 on Twitter put it so perfectly, the female warriors were originally inspired by ancient Spartan soldiers and the slave gladiators of the Colosseum. So there is a reason why they're almost completely naked, and they were designed with that intention. And it doesn't stop there either. We also have Noriyuki Works on Twitter saying, "This is the worst censorship ever. I saw after Maya in the previous DQ, seriously, if they have to censor, at least do it better." And then looking at the image being shared here from the previous Dragon Quest to the current one, having the underlay garment underneath the bikini top, again with the additional coverage everywhere all over her body. And you gotta ask, why are they doing this? What benefit to the game does this add? How is this inclusive, diversive, or equitable for hot chicks that want to dress hot? There's a clear agenda being enforced here. And now adding additional clothing onto the person takes away from the historical context and the original artist intent. And it's not just any artist, it's Akira Toriyama. That somebody, somewhere, is taking some serious artistic liberties to redesign these characters, add additional clothing onto them, and basically slap it on as, hey, this is Dragon Warrior, play it. Akira Toriyama worked on the original one, and we can just basically say it's in his honor, and we're just trying to, enhance his legacy. When at the end of the day, we all know exactly what's transpiring right now. This is DEI injection at its finest. At the heart of all this is the broader dissatisfaction that Japanese gamers specifically are starting to take up arms against online, saying, we aren't having this. Much like the West has been doing for a while now, Japan is starting to see it creep into their culture, and they are vehemently against it. Many of them feel like the changes are undermining the cultural and artistic heritage of games like Dragon Quest III, which have long celebrated unique Japanese styles and values. And to be honest, can anyone even blame them for feeling this way? There's a growing sentiment in the West that gamers have had enough of this, no matter how small or trivial it might seem at first, because that's exactly how a slippery slope gets us to the point of Sweet Baby Inc. style DEI injection firms desecrating the art of gaming in the name of profits and creating problems so that they can fix them, becoming gainfully employed with a job that shouldn't exist in the first place. But the tides are turning, and as we continue to see these kind of modifications, it's clear that the Japanese gamers are fed up with the increasing trend of censorship, particularly when it's driven by external pressures rather than genuine artistic intent. And honestly, anybody who has any sense of intelligence looks at these photos and can tell clear as day that there is an intent behind them to intentionally censor these images, to hide cleavage, to cover them up more, to change the original artistic design behind Akira Toriyama. They don't give a shit about his artistic integrity and direction and specifications for what he cared about and how much love and passion he poured into it. No, it's about desecrating it and changing it because of cultural sensitivity, and we always need to be more diverse, equity, and inclusive, because we can't have beautiful girls in our games because there are ugly girls out there, and then they might feel sad because they see a beautiful girl and they're not that, and then they get sad and depressed, and you can't have that, so let's just make everyone ugly. While DEI consultancy firms would most likely try to argue that these changes are minor or necessary for the modern audience, it's beyond evident that both Western and Eastern fans are united in their opposition against alterations and censorship. And the sentiment is fairly straightforward. If you're going to be remaking a game, do it with respect to the original material, rather than bending the knee to a perceived political correctness agenda. Grums on Twitter said, yes, they have a new DEI department that they are very proud of at Square Enix. No, the Japanese aren't having it. Square Enix and other companies should take note. Fans of these games are willing to vote with their wallets, and this is something that keeps getting proven time and time again. And it's almost like they're just going to keep shoving it down your throat saying, we are making these censorship changes, and you will eat it, and you will like it, and you will not complain about it. And gamers are like, no, I'm just not going to buy your game. There's so many other games out there, such a backlog that we have, that we aren't going to be participating in pushing these narratives forward. I personally do not want to give any money to any companies that start doing even these minor trivial changes, because I've seen exactly what transpires as time goes on. And Square Enix wonders why they're losing money hand over fist right now. If they continue down this path, they risk alienating their core audience even more, harming their brand in the long run, and wondering what happened after all these years go by and Square Enix ends up fizzling and dissolving into nothing because they fell for all this DEI BS. And again, shout out to Bounding into Comics for this story. User Won't Bend the Knee replied on that article stating, Square Enix's ethics department offends my cultural sensibilities. Therefore, I demand it to be shut down. That's an interesting perspective, because it's funny how DEI says, oh, I'm offended, we need to shut all this other stuff down so that we're not offended, without taking into perspective the other side of that coin, where by shutting things down, you're actually offending the people that appreciate it. Who would have thought? Let's hope that Square Enix reconsiders their approach right now, because honestly, this is a travesty. They need to begin to prioritize the fans first and honor the legacy of creators like Akira Toriyama, and stop desecrating this incredible artwork. If they don't do it, they're not just going to find themselves losing fans, but also losing their standing in the gaming community. I, for one, look at Square Enix as the pillar of what used to be one of the all-time greatest video game companies ever. And how the mighty have fallen. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. If you guys want more information, check out smashjt.com. Also, shout out to Bounding into Comics for incredible research. There were a ton of tweets to go through. Japan is really pissed off about this. And again, if you want more information, check out the article. If you appreciate what I'm doing, hit that join button. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, you stay smashing. Smash, Smash,